Welcome to West Kentucky Community and Technical College's Cooking at the College. I'm your host, Chef McCarthy, and I want to cook with you. Hi, welcome back to our show, and we're going to be talking about some frozen confections today. We got some special things that we're going to do. Basically, we're going to talk about ice cream, and one of the things that we do in the program in advanced baking is we talk about frozen confections, and we do different types of ice creams. We do sorbets and we do frozen yogurts, and I just want to show you some of the things. Now, you might have made ice cream at home, and what we're hoping to do is show you some variations that you might have not thought about. This is also to complement the program that we had on sauces. So we did all these types of different sauces in the last program, which you can get on the website at westkentucky.kctcs.edu. And you can download that. In addition to that, we also have the latest program that you can download that's available on that website too. So you can actually, if you miss the show, you can actually see it at any time at your workstation. And so I just wanted to mention that to you. So we're going to start with an almond praline ice cream. This is actually a cooked ice cream. And what I mean by a cooked ice cream is most ice creams you just put together and then you can just freeze. That's a basic vanilla or a basic chocolate ice cream. But if it's a custard ice cream, it actually has to go on the stove because it has eggs in it. So we actually have to make a custard, and it's a frozen custard. These are some of the much more in-depth types of ice creams. They have a lot more flavor and textures than a traditional kind of ice melt kind of ice cream, which is just frozen cream essentially. And what that does is it really just, by cooking it out, you're really developing all those different, what would you say, Chef? What are we trying to develop over here? Textures and variations
and
flavors.
Flavors binding together and
binding together. By the way, if you haven't met my assistant, this is Rick Picka. He's my teaching assistant for the semester and my confidant and the one who sets all these things up for me. I couldn't do without him. Okay. So what we have here is we have basic ingredients here. We have brown sugar, all right? And the amounts are available on the website, so I won't go into always the amounts, but we got the amounts here. Brown sugar, rather, sorry. Just break that up in there. Flour. And salt. All right. I'm just going to mix that in. Mix that up. All right. And we're going to put that in our pot. And we're going to put this on the stove. And essentially, while this is cooking, we're going to add our cream. Okay? We're just going to pour that right in there and add that. So when we return, I'm going to show you how this all comes together. And we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, welcome back, and we have our brown sugar and flour mixture here, along with just a touch of salt. And essentially, we're going to have to start the process of making caramel as we did in the last show. We're actually going to have to melt this down a little bit and create somewhat of a slurry. And at that point, we'll start to gradually add the milk. It's very important that you don't add the milk all at once or even add the milk at this point, because the milk will start to curdle on you. And we've had that problem in the past, and so we want to make sure that we do it. And this is where things can get a little bit technical. So we're hoping that we can, if you've made ice cream all your life, you might have not ventured out a little bit because you're afraid of something happening, or maybe the instructions were just a little bit too complicated. But this really is an excellent way to mimic some of those high-end premium types of blends that everybody likes so much. And all in all, it doesn't cost any more than going out and buying it. And you can make a day out of this. You know, this is a fantastic way to make a day out of it and make your favorite ice cream. So we want to talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to watch out for when you make these premium type ice creams. All right, so we're just going to stir that around. Yeah, it'll take a little little while for that to melt down. This is about a 10-minute process, and of course we're not going to make you look at this for 10 minutes. We'll break away shortly. We're just going to melt that down. Rick and his group in advanced baking did this yesterday. So if it messes up, I have to blame him because he didn't give me proper instruction. I'm just going to melt that down. Now, while I'm doing that, I'm going to send you over to Rick because you're also going to have to brown your almonds, and that's got there's a little bit of technique to that too. So I'm going to bring you over to Rick, and he's going to talk a little bit about browning almond slivers.
Okay, I have 2 cups of almonds here that I melted 3 tablespoons of butter. Now they're already browned, but when you put them in there, you keep it on a kind of a medium-low flame, because if you don't, it'll burn real quick. And always turn, always keep turning constantly, because if you don't, they'll burn on the bottom and it'll be not cooked on the top. But it's pretty much white when you start off, and then you just keep on, and this is how it turns out, nice and brown. You don't want it any more brown than this, because after this it'll start to burn. It takes about 5 minutes, and as you turn, and when they start to turn, it turns quickly. So it doesn't take very long. Once you see, you'll see 1 or 2 here and there start to brown, and then you know it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen real quick. And then after you take it off of the flame, continue to stir it around, because you still got heat on the bottom of this pan that will still burn it. So this is about how you want it right here. Nice toasted and nice and brown. And then after you do this, you just take it off and let it cool a little bit before it goes into the ice cream mixture.
Okay, now we're back over here. I just keep stirring this. This takes a little bit of muscle power. I like to use you can see it's actually starting the process of caramelizing and melting down there. And I like to use wooden spoons, although in some places they don't even allow, the health department doesn't even allow you to use wooden spoons anymore. But for the purposes of working with sugar and all those other things, you really need, I think that you get reactions, especially with custard and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. You need that wooden spoon. We had a little problem with custard just the other day. We were making a pastry cream. Everybody's pastry cream was turning color and turning green, and we're wondering why that was. Well, it's the reaction of the aluminum. And when you're scraping up little microscopic shards of aluminum, that can actually color those eggs. And we've heard of, well, green eggs and ham. Well, that's that reaction of a metal pan to the eggs can actually create that green color.
Right. We were using a metal whisk.
Yeah.
Against the metal pan. Didn't work out very well.
That's right. All right. So we're stirring that up. What do you think, Mr. Rick? Should I start adding a little milk at this point, or should we melt it down just a little bit more?
Melt it down just a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to take just a short break while I'm melting this down, and then when we come back, I'm going to show you the process of adding this milk. We've got to temper that milk in, and it's very crucial. There's actually 2 times where we're going to actually be tempering. We'll be tempering this milk in and blending it right so it emulsifies right. And then when we add the eggs, we're also going to be tempering so we don't curdle the eggs. So a couple little things to be wary of. And when we get back, I'll show you how to do that. All right. Okay, so we have this mixture. I added just a little bit of milk while we were away, just a drop or 2, and now I'm going to stir in more of that milk. Okay, it's going to be, whisk it around there. And again, tempering is just adding a little bit at a time, making sure that you stir between mixtures. And you don't have to do it awfully slow. Once it gets up to temperature, then it's all right. But initially, adding a little at a time, very important. Okay, just a little bit at a time, stirring that in. It's quite a bit of milk, so it takes a couple of minutes to get that all in there. Again, you can start adding a little bit more rapidly once the milk mixture is tempered. Initially, very little at one time there. Perfect. And really what you're going to wait is until it's all nice and dissolved. Chef, I don't have to bring this up to a boil again, do I? I don't believe so.
You need to bring it up almost to a boil.
Almost to a boil. So we're just going to scald this. It's going to bring it up to a little bit of a boil. About 200. It's very important. About 200 degrees. Okay.
You have to constantly stir it and let it
So you
cook
can
for
say
about
it's a
15
nice.
minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So until that gets nice and thick, right?
Right.
About 10-15 minutes. Okay, so the next time you see us, we're going to actually be putting this all together, and we'll see you in just a bit. Okay, so we're back, and this is where it's very important that you do this correctly. We've tempered that milk in, and now we got to temper these eggs. And I got to tell you, this is going to be well worth the effort. So once you've learned this, you've learned one of the hardest ice creams that I think any of us have ever prepared.
Absolutely.
So here we have the egg yolks, all right? The whole eggs. Whole eggs or egg yolks in this recipe?
That's whole eggs.
It is whole eggs,
Yes,
okay?
it is.
And if you've noticed, I put one of those skid-proof mats underneath. You could also use just a wet towel. I always call that my third hand because it's not going to move around on me as I'm whisking. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little bit and tempering again, warming up those eggs. And basically what tempering is warming up something to the state of something else. So equalizing the temperature is what you're doing. Okay, and you can see how thick this mixture has gotten. All right. Okay, so that's all nice and warm. And now those eggs are at the temperature of the mixture itself. Okay, and then we're going to pour that back into here. Put that aside. I'm going to bring that back to the stove and just cook it a little bit. You don't even have to see me do that, but basically we're just going to thicken it up just a little bit on the stove, 3 or 4 minutes or so, not even.
Yeah, about a couple minutes only.
A couple minutes, that's it. And that's all there is to that. While we're going to do that, and actually I'm just going to hand this over to Rick to do that. You take care of that, Chef.
Okay.
And while we're doing that, while he's heating that up, I'm just going to show you the basic components of your ice cream maker. This one is a relatively inexpensive one. I don't know, about $30. Okay. And we have a few things. We got our hopper or a container. Okay. We got the part that we put the ice cream in. We got a dasher. All right. That just swirls around, a little cover there. That locks on here. And the motor just fits right on in here. You gotta make sure it fits in really good and that it'll turn. All right. All right. Now what I like to do, once the product is done, is I actually like to get it all set up, fill it with the ice cream, and then start layering the ice and the salt in there at that point. Because if salt or ice gets caught in there, it can really put a strain on the motor, and actually the motor might even shut down. Okay, so that's one of the things that we like to do. All right, and that's basically it. Now, the thing that you need to know is that the product that we're making, since it's a cooked custard, is we actually have to cool it down. Now, most of the recipes will say, you know, put it in the freezer for a couple hours or refrigerate until it cools down for 2 hours. We're going to show you a technique that is very easy to cool it down. And essentially, the reason why we need to cool it down is because it'll just mean that you'll have to put more ice in here to try and cool it down to a temperature before it starts the freezing process. So we're trying to equalize and cool that temperature down a little bit to get it down to a temperature that is close to freezing. So that's why you want to get it to the into the refrigerator, you know, and cool it down. But we're going to show you how to quicken that pace a little bit, speed that process up a little bit. And as soon as that is done, Rick, I'm going to do that. And he's just taking this off of the stove.
Okay, we're ready.
Okay, and we're ready. And we got a little bit of ice over here. And this is that process I was talking about. Oh, ice in one bowl and another bowl in there. We're just going to cool that down. Okay, just like that. All right. And you do want to have all your ingredients pretty ice cold. I'm just going to stir that around. And that's all there is to that. Okay. While that's cooling off, and Rick, I'm just going to have you you're doing a lot of my legwork today, aren't you? I'm sorry about that. I'm not
That's all right.
trying to turn you into my gopher or anything like that.
Okay.
All right. So I'll have you stir that around.
All
I'm
right.
going to make something really easy, and this is a pina colada ice cream, and actually frozen yogurt. I'm sorry.
Right.
Another thing that we can put together. I love frozen yogurt because it's just you put it all together and you just freeze it. Really, really easy. So here we got 8 cups of all-natural vanilla yogurt. This is the low-fat kind. If you wanted to use the regular kind, it'd be a little bit creamier. All right. We have our sugar. We got crushed pineapple. Okay. A little bit of rum and a little bit of creme de coconut, creme de cacao. Okay. So I'm just going to put this yogurt in here.
I don't know if everybody knows it or not, but there's a plain yogurt and a vanilla flavored. And this calls for the vanilla flavored.
Yes.
So it's not
I think
the
it
plain.
just complements it. And this is called a pina colada, is it not?
Yes.
Frozen
Right.
yogurt.
Pina colada frozen yogurt.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay, we're going to put that in there. 8 cups. Just like that. This would be really cool and something like a Caribbean-themed party or something like that. Da, 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 da. All right, a little bit of rum. Okay, and the pineapple. Ugh. All right.
Aren't that good?
Oh, that knot ain't good.
That nut ain't good?
All right. Okay. Love those double negatives, right? All right. Okay, so we're going to turn that in. I don't even want to say what that looks like, huh? That is disgusting. All right.
As long as
So it's like that,
doesn't taste
that
like
stuff
it.
that kids used to have, that slime that they used to get in an egg or something.
Yeah, that's
Huh?
right, yeah.
Looks just like that. I bet it has creme de cacao in there. All right, so we're going to stir this in. Probably should have used a little bit bigger bowl, Rick.
Oops.
All right, so we're just going to stir that up a little bit. And just create a uniform mixture, and that's all there is to it. And this can go right into your freezer just like that. And that is done.
That's it.
And that's it. I noticed that the yogurt sets up a little bit faster. And this actually has to go into the cooler for about 30 minutes, which we do recommend the cooler and not the ice bath for this particular one. But just for about 30 minutes just to set it up a little bit, and that's about it. So 30 minutes isn't long to wait at all. And you'll have frozen yogurt within about 30 minutes. So much faster than regular ice cream. This sets up real and freezes real fast, mainly because it has less fat in it and it has more water in it. Okay? So the water freezes a lot faster than fat does. Okay? All right. So that's about it on that. Okay, so we got that uniform mixture and that's ready to go. All right, so we'll put that in the cooler for about 30 minutes. We'll bring it back and freeze it. How's that coming along? Is that cool enough, you think, Chef?
Yes.
All right, so we just got to get it cool enough, and we're going to pour that right in here.
No. We have the. You got to get the.
Oh, we got to add the. Oh, yes, we got
to.
Oh, we got to add a little cream to this. Okay. We're just so organized today. It's scary. Okay, so now we got the cream. We got 4 cups of cream. Just going to pour that right in there. All right. Okay, a little bit of vanilla. All right, and we got those almonds.
One more addition.
One more addition. We got those almonds. Yes. All right, look at that. Oh, donuts.
Ah.
All right.
Oh,
Oh,
that
look at
looks
that.
so good. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we come back, we're going to show you how this all comes together, and we'll see you in a bit. All right, I got to get the ice and the salt. Okay, so we're back, and I'm just going to put this into here first, this little measuring cup here, measuring container, volume measuring container as we call it. All right, so I can pour it more easily in here. And then I can put the rest in there. I don't want to spill any of this wonderful product there. Just like that. Wonderful. Okay, so that's perfect. Okay. I'm going to set this right down in here. All right. And we'll put this on. All right, and we want to make sure it moves around very easily. Okay. I'll put the motor on there. And you'll find it a lot easier if you do this first. And then I'm just going to test it to make sure it's going to turn. This one doesn't have an on-off switch, so I'm just going to see if it turns. All right. Then I'm going to start adding the ice. All right. We're going to add about 3 good-sized scoops of ice on each side. And then a little bit of salt. And what the salt does is it forces that temperature down. All right. And you want to have enough ice to just be a bit higher than the product itself. So if the product is halfway up the can, you want to add enough ice that the ice is a little bit higher than halfway up the can. So you don't need to fill it all the way to the top. All right? As the ice actually starts to melt, you're going to add more ice to supplement. Okay? Just a little bit more salt there. A we're going to let that go for about, I'd say 10 minutes or so. And 20 minutes actually, about 20 to 30 minutes I think is about how long it was taking. And when it just starts to set up a little bit, that's all we need, and then we can finish it in the freezer. And they say, a couple hours at least in the freezer. Depends on how soft you want it. If you want it right out of the can. There's also another way. If say you didn't have a freezer nearby, maybe you were doing this out at a campsite or something like that, you had electricity but you didn't have anything else, or maybe you had a hand crank one, you can actually pack that with ice and salt, and that will actually freeze it, and it'll take about an hour to freeze if you pack it with ice and salt. So when you're all done, you'll actually pack that can in with some more ice and salt, and that's how they used to freeze it. So way back when they didn't have freezers, so that's how they made their ice cream. And of course, it was a hand crank kind of situation. Okay, so that's basically it right there.
If they're planned far enough ahead, they can even buy some dry ice.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
To keep it
Okay,
cold.
so I'm going to turn that off. You've seen that process right there. And I apologize if I shouted a little bit because I didn't know, I can't hear myself talk, so I speak a little bit louder even though I don't have to. I guess that's how, when you get a hearing aid, you think you need to speak louder. I don't know.
What?
What? You think you need to speak louder and you really don't. So anyways, that's basically the setup. It's very, very easy. You're looking at about 30 minutes and probably in about an hour to an hour and a half from finish to end. It all depends on if you want it really hard or if you want it really soft. When we come back, I'm going to show you what we've made. We actually made this yesterday, and you're going to be able to see how it comes out. And we'll see you in a bit. Hey, welcome back. And we have Jennifer, who's an intern at the TV department, and she's going to try some of this. Here's that praline ice cream that we just made, and what we did, and you can actually see maybe some of the swirls in there, when it was all done, it was at the semi-soft state before we put it in the freezer. We took a little bit of fudge, okay, and you can get this recipe off the web because we did sauces. It's the same type of chocolate sauce, and we just swirled it in just a little bit, and so that can actually go in, and that can give you that nice swirl effect there. We just put that right on there, and got that. And we also made a coulis, which again is in the last program, and we can just swirl this in. This is a blackberry frozen yogurt. All right. And we also have an apple spiced sorbet, and a sorbet is just a nice palate cleanser between meals. So Jennifer, why don't you try that out there, and Rick, maybe you can come over here and try this, and this is the, and I'll try this. And remember, I want to cook with you.
This is good. Try that one. That's good.